Okay, we're recording. We'll see how that I've never done that before, so we'll see how that works. Welcome everyone. I'm glad you're all here. Just out of curiosity, as we kind of get started, can I see a show of hands if you have your canvas and threads? Just curious how many. I know there's some delay on one of the threads. Okay, it looks like we're about 50-50 as far as who has their canvas and threads and who's still waiting. So we'll still talk about it tonight, even if you don't have your supplies, because I think if you take notes and then when you get your pattern, you'll be able to follow along and catch up without any problem. Hold on, I got one more in the waiting room. Okay. So tonight my plan was to talk about how to mark our canvas and kind of a little bit about the threads that we're going to use, about the watercolor threads. And then I set up a tentative schedule for what I thought, kind of what logs that we would discuss every month. But none of that is set in stone. I'm a former teacher. That's my lesson plan, but I am flexible. We can change the lesson plan if we need to change the lesson plan. So, the first thing you need to know, and like I said, I'm sure that a lot of you already know this, you're going to want to mark your canvas before you put it on stretcher bars. So don't put it on stretcher bars as soon as you get it. You're going to work on getting it all marked out. Now you don't have to mark it out if you don't want to, but I think you're going to find it's going to be a much easier project if you do mark it out. And if you have the pattern, if you look on two,
On what?
on page 2 of the instructions, it kind of looks like this. Let me admit Karen here. This is where it's going to talk about marking your canvas. And so I used a pencil to mark my canvas. Let me see if you can see this. Maybe if I put this paper behind, you'll be able to see it better. But you can kind of see my pencil marks on here. Has anybody ever marked a canvas with something other than pencil that worked really well for them? Because this is a stitch along where we're going to just kind of share what we've used and what works and what's not working for everyone. Sherry, what have you used?
Well, teachers tell you to use an H pencil, not a number 2, because the number 2 will come through onto your threads.
Okay.
I've also used, you're going to laugh, but I've also used a needle and thread, and I mark it one row above where I go, and I literally just stitch it over 2, under 2, over 2, under 2. And if it doesn't work over 2, under 2, then I go from, like you were showing, I would go the entire length and then I'd go down and then I'd come back up. So sometimes you're going back over your stitch, but at least it's marked and it's always one row above. So I know that I don't stitch over the thread.
Okay. Anybody else mark their canvases with anything else that has worked well? Susan.
Yeah, it's Sue or Susan. I use Selkie's shimmer thread. It's easy to pull out. I can't split it and get stuck with it. And it doesn't leave any marks.
Okay.
And I put it right where I would, if I were using a pencil, right where I would put the pencil, because I don't have a problem,
okay.
with the thread getting stuck.
Anybody else have any thoughts or ideas of things that have worked or not worked for them?
This is Sean. I use the heat erasable fabric marking pens, and you can use a hair dryer to erase them. But they can come back if you get them really, really cold. So if you have them in a very cold environment, they could come back. But I've had great success using them.
Okay. Well, I've never used that before. Okay.
Well, this is Jan Fabian. I don't know if you can hear me. I'm not seeing
Ken.
myself. I learned back in the 70s to mark a canvas with a super light gray micron pen. And so I have a couple of very light gray pens that I mark with.
Yeah, I probably would not have marked mine quite as dark as I did, but I wanted you guys to be able to see it. And so I marked it a little darker than what I normally would have marked it. Okay. Well, let's go on to how we're going to mark this. So the first thing you're going to do, once you decide what you're going to use to mark it, is you're going to find the middle of your canvas. And I just took a ruler and marked it and found that center spot. Once you find that center spot, you're going to go 3 threads to the left, and then you're going to go up 51 threads, and that's the top left corner of log number 12. And all that is written in your instructions on this page, page 2.
Okay.
Okay. And so you're going to start, that line is going to be this little line right here. That you're doing. This is log 12, and it's that top of log 12. Every one of your logs are 6 threads wide, and the length is divisible by 6. Okay, so once you get to that top corner, kind of right, let me see if I can roll my paper here, right there, okay, you're going to draw a line 6 threads to the right, and that's the top of log 12. Then you're going to count up 6 threads, up 6 threads, and over 6 threads. And that will be the side and the top of log 13. And then log 14 is up 6 and over 6. And then you kind of come to the top of your heart. Now, what I did on mine, and I'm going to see if I can get it here where you guys can see it.
Can you spotlight yourself?
Let me spotlight myself. Let me see.
If she
Those
mutes
are the little blue
everyone, then
dots.
she'll be the only one if y'all view it as speaker.
Let's see. Maybe.
Go to the little blue dots by your name.
Okay.
And one of the things should be spotlight for everyone.
Spotlight for everyone. There. Look at, yeah. I'm so glad you're here. It takes a village. Okay, so you can see my line here. And so when I got to the top of this, I didn't want to draw I did not draw my lines all the way down. I just needed a starting spot. And once I have my starting spot, then I can go. So I just counted over 6 threads, and then I made a little short line there. I counted over 6 threads and went down just a little ways, just so I knew how many little logs weren't in there. And I just continued to work across the top. And then when I started down the side, the instructor, let me move my needle. The instructions say to keep going down and around this way. I didn't do that. Once I had this top part done, then I skipped over here And I put that in because it's a mirror image. And that way I knew I was right.
You just need to check making sure that the channels that you're working on the opposite side are equal to the ones on the right-hand side.
Absolutely. Hold on 1 minute. I've got a dachshund that thinks he needs to come in the house.
And Linda, can you please see if there's additional participants that need to come in, please?
I just checked a minute ago and we were good a minute ago. I think we're good.
I sent an email to Diana, Amy, and Kathy. So we've got 3 more that should be logging on shortly.
Okay, perfect. I've kind of got that up on my right-hand side, so I'll keep looking at that. So anyway, so that's kind of how I marked the top of my heart on both sides. And like I said, oh, here comes somebody. And when you mark this, you know, this is going to be kind of, you're going to want to count, and count one more time, because you're going to want to make sure that that's correct on this. Then I started kind of down the sides of this. Now, it was not real clear to me. I hope I got somebody else I need to admit. It was not real clear to me in the directions, and I didn't see it anywhere, that some of these logs go down 6,
Well,
and some of them go down 12. And so what I ended up doing is you could almost tell the size difference. And to me, the 3 at the edge are each 12, and all the rest of them are 6. If that
Okay.
makes, if you see,
Yeah.
it looks like to me I've got kind of a, it's written backwards. I'm not sure why, but
It shows up fine on our side.
oh, yay. Okay, perfect. Okay, hold on. I got more people joining us.
Do they step up at the top the same amount?
Yes, at the top, they all step up 6 threads, except where it's flat across the top there.
Yeah.
20 and 21 also.
Yes. It's going to be 21, 22, 23, and log 1, 2, and 3 on the other side.
And 4.
Are you going to recap what those of us that could not log in from the original thing, what we've missed?
I am attempting to record this, so I'm going to try to send that out to everyone, and then I'll also try to put a little email.
Okay, so basically if we missed it, the demo, we've missed it.
No.
Oh.
No, I'm hoping to send you a video of what we talked
Okay.
about. If this works the way I'm hoping it worked. Okay?
Okay.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I marked my canvas. And then you probably want to check when you get to log 23 and log 1, make sure it's 36 stitches long. Or 36 threads, I should say. Okay, any thoughts or questions about marking your canvas?
Question.
Yes.
Why didn't you put the piece on stretcher bars to begin with?
I found it easy because I could lay it on my table as I drew the lines straight. I've never had it on stretcher bars to draw the lines. But is that normally the way you do it, John?
I do. I mean, but I don't know why. I just put them on there and did it. But leaving just the top is a good idea because I have a lot of adjustments on the bottom of mine because I have all the lines in. And as long as you're good across the top, you just count how many repeats the instructions give you.
Right.
So
Yeah. And I always start stitching. I've started a few stitches that we'll talk about next month, but I start stitching up here, and the only thing at the bottom it does is tells me kind of where to stop.
Rhonda, did you tell us how many inches from the top you go down before you make your first?
No.
No.
I started in the center, and then I went the 3 threads to the left, just like it says in the instructions, and then I counted up 51 threads.
Okay.
And if I had a ruler here, which I do not, I would tell, I can email how
you told us.
It's
down
It
the-
should
about,
be.
the top left corner, not counting the borders, is down 2 and over 2.
Do what?
Inches down 2 inches and over 2 inches.
No, it's not.
On mine it is,
No.
but not the heart. The outside without the border.
Oh, okay. I haven't even looked at where the border is going to go on this yet. I'm just getting the heart in there. I didn't mark the border on this at all yet.
So, Miss Rhonda, there's a question in the chat.
Oh.
Some people may have already put their canvas on stretchers. Do they need to take it off the stretchers to do the marking?
No, it doesn't sound like it. John says he marks his in the stretcher bars. So go for it. I would give it a try marking it in the stretcher bars, and if you have problems, take it out. But
you may want to put something solid underneath it so you don't distort the canvas. Unless you have a very, very light hand for drawing. Like on a book.
So supports it.
So I'm going to see what our chat is here. Okay. So I think you could probably do it either way. I just found it easy to mark it. I had it on my kitchen table and I marked it as I counted my threads. Actually,
Rhonda?
I think I had it on a wool mat is what I laid it on. But I think you could, if you have it on your stretcher bars and all tacked down, I would try to mark it without taking it off those stretcher bars because I'm lazy.
I agree.
So
Mark.
Okay, any other questions or comments about marking the canvas?
That's sweet. I do.
Okay, Sherry.
I'm concerned about the message asking if it's 2 over 2 threads. We're just supposed to be marking the canvas, and it's not 36 stitches.
It's
unless I'm misreading it, it's 36 threads.
36 threads, yes.
Which is different from stitches.
Yes, sorry.
It's the same if you're doing a 10 stitch.
Right, the same as a 10 stitch. Pat, you had your hand up?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can.
Okay. How big are the stretcher bars? We have not heard that yet.
13 inches. 13 by 13.
13. Okay.
Anybody else have a question? Okay. Now I'm anxious to see what everybody does for threads because when I was at the South Central region. I had some people say they're using threads from their stash, and I had some people say they were going to put a little krennic in theirs to give it a little pizzazz. So they all may look very, very different, but I'm going straight by what the instructions call for, and we'll go from there. So I put all of my threads on a big ring in numerical order, so I could find the color that I needed on here. And then on the threads, I'm just going to, is there anyone on here that has not used watercolors before?
Nope.
Oh, I heard a no. Okay. Okay, this is what I did on my watercolors. It comes like this, okay? And then I punched 3 holes at the other end of it. And the reason I did that is because we're only going to use 1 strand. This is a 3-ply thread, if I remember right, and we're only going to use 1 ply. And so I punched these holes so I could know that I had pulled 1 strand out of this. And that way I could kind of keep track of what I was doing. And I will tell you that on some of these, I wanted a lot of color variation. And so I used 1 strand and I started up and I got a ways. And instead of using another strand from this color grouping, I pulled another 3 strand and pulled out another single thread. And that way I had lots of color variation because no 2 strands are going to be exactly the same on this. So that's the way that I've kind of handled my threads. Okay, so if you're brand new to watercolor, because I'm cheap, okay, you can see it. Okay, I undo the knot. I know some people cut the knot, but Rhonda's cheap, so I unknot it, and there's a little knot right here. Let me see if I can get this done on camera. Maybe.
Another reason why you take 1 thread and then get a new strand of thread is so your colors move around. Because if you use all 3 strands, you have the same kind of repeats.
Right. Okay, so I've now taken the knot off, undid the knot, and I have it off my little paper thing, and it's still kind of woven like this. And as I just kind of pull it, it'll just kind of untwist into a nice long piece, and then I untwist it. So I have a big loop. And then right where the knot is, I take out this final knot and I snip my thread right there. And so I have a nice long piece of thread to use. And like I said, it's a 3-ply. And once I pull out 1 ply, then I put that in the holes that I punched at the opposite end of my little card here. And then I just loop it back into the card and I put it on my ring. So that's how I'm handling that thread. Anybody else have any words of wisdom on using watercolors that they want to share with the group?
Yeah.
You can unspotlight yourself by going to the same space and say remove spotlight if you want to.
Okay. Let's see here. There we go. I'm seeing everybody again.
I had a teacher tell me to use, when I used it, to go from top to bottom and then the next thread go from bottom to top. And that would help with that variegation.
It would, but if you did that, say you ended up with purple at the end of your first strand, and then you threaded it and you went the other way, then you're going to have another big thing of purple, and I think you're going to have a big area of purple there.
Sure.
And that's why I just pull a whole nother thread. Because and this is kind of jumping ahead to next month, but I know some of you will do it, so I'll tell you now. Oh, I'm going to try to spotlight me again. Hold on. If you look at the instructions, let me see if I can grab my instructions here. Okay. If you look at the instructions, go to log 1. It looks like when you first glance at this that you would do all of like the dark, and then you'd skip down and you'd do the dark here, and you do the dark here, and you do the dark here. Well, that is not how you work these logs. You're going to work the dark black, and then you're going to move down and work the white, and then the black, and then the white. And that way your color moves down the whole block. So, and if you'll notice on mine, let me see if I can put some white paper behind it and see if that helps. Where would my white paper go? Okay. If you notice, even though the pattern changes on mine, the color still kind of stays in blocks as it moves down. Whereas if I had gone the dark and then I skipped a couple rows and then I went the dark, what's marked as dark on the pattern again, it would be a more a choppy look to that stitch. So you're going to work top to bottom, unless you want yours to look completely different. It's your pattern. And if you want to do it differently, go for it. But she says, let me see exactly how she words it here. Many of the logs are stitched with just one color of watercolor. They are charted with 2 line colors to more easily distinguish the stitching path. Unless otherwise noted, stitch in one trip both colors of lines, rows, or boxes. So you're not going to like make one row down with all the dark color in her pattern and then come back and do the white afterwards. You're going to do it continually all the way down. I'm hoping that makes sense. I think it will when you look at the pattern.
This is Amy. So basically what you're saying is the design keeps changing, but it's the color variation that will make it look like it's also changing.
Right.
And that's why you just continue to use the same thread all the way down instead of moving from one section to another.
Right. Yeah. And we will talk about that more in September. September, I plan on talking about logs 1 through 11. But like I said, I just know this group, and I know that some of you, when we log back in September, you're going to be like, look how much I've gotten done. So